Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Joanne, and you've stumbled upon my channel called The Story Stitcher. I am so grateful to be here with you today to get to chat. I'm going to chat cross stitch and all the little crafty things and life and all of those things. So welcome if you're new, welcome if you're a returner, welcome if you're just someone popping in as a friend. You are all welcome here, and I'm so thankful I get to spend this time chatting with you. Now, usually I'll dive into stitchy content and all that fun stuff, and I have my crafting cart right next to me with my project bags, all the fabric, all the threads and everything like that. And so we've got lots of cross stitch updates in this video. But the one thing that I'm going to do first is I'm going to share my life update. And I don't always do that quite to that extent, but if you're willing to listen to me for a couple of minutes, I wanted to tell you some of the updates of what I shared with you in my last video regarding my PET scan, recovery, and all of that stuff. And so I have been really thinking about filming this video. I gave myself a little bit of time in between, not only to get some stitching done, but to also just process everything that has been going on. And thank you to everybody who has been praying for me regarding that PET scan that I had 3 weeks ago. The results did come in, and I will say that they were not the results that we were hoping for, but they are the results that we are working with. And we have a lot of optimism, a lot of hope, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Now, it's really important to me that this video does not feel doom and gloom in any capacity, or that I don't, give off the fear that this is going to be a sad video. This is actually going to be a happy video. So I'm going to just preface that right there. I think it is an important conversation to have, kind of the highs and lows, where the things that are very real, but then also the hope that connects to those things. From my scan, the doctors did find some things that they didn't want to see, that I didn't want to see, meaning there were some spots lighting up in my lungs and on my liver. Now, that's 2 places, which I was hoping for 0. And so it's tough to process that there was something that they found. And the good news on one side of things is that my doctor at my hospital, he has a plan. He is making a plan for me he's got options, he's got ideas, he's got stuff. And the tests have not been confirmed. So one of the reasons this video is going up today is because tomorrow I have another test, and tomorrow it is a biopsy. So that is happening tomorrow, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to push this video up today, because if you're watching this when it goes live, which will be, tomorrow's a Tuesday. So if you see this when it goes live, you'll be seeing this while I'm at the hospital. Probably I have 3 different appointments, 2 procedures, and then I have a follow-up appointment. And that's that. That's the biggie update. I would definitely say it's been a hard couple of weeks processing that. It can be very, very emotional, which is why I wanted to share something with you. Not just that. It's easy for the hard news to hit, and for just, a blanket of despair or a blanket of sorrow or anger or whatnot to just kind of take over and color the rest of the world, and color the experience, color your outlook. And there were a few days that I felt like that. Not gonna lie, there were some days with a lot of tears, and then some. And I'll probably cry during this video, so I'm gonna try not to cry in the first 4 minutes, but I might. Now, so having walked through some of that sadness, I have just clung to my faith. And I've had people helping me in that process. My husband, my family, friends, and that has been so helpful to be reminded of goodness and comfort and just life-giving truths that are spurring me on and moving me forward. I could not be more grateful for that. Could not be more grateful. And I actually have a little thing to show you, a little crafty thing to show you as part of this. And to kind of wrap up this part of the story, tomorrow when I go in, where is my crafty thing? Oh, it's right here. Tomorrow when I go in, I am going to be doing a biopsy, likely on my lungs. And so a lady reached out to me at my church. We go to a new church, and this lady walked up to me and she said, "I've been praying for you," because she's really good friends with my husband's aunt who goes there. She said, "I've been praying for you." And I had never met this woman. And I share this because it's just such an encouragement of who people give me in our lives. And she was an encouragement to me. I get to be an encouragement in return. And just that cycle continues. And she came up to me and just gave me, during a very sad week, a very heavy week, where that fog that I described, that veil that I described, was very much around me. Everything felt very gray. And she just walked up to me and gave me a hug and said she'd been praying for me. She had something for me, which I'm going to show you. And she had survived cancer multiple times, including lymphoma and other cancers. And she's staying there bright and beautiful and chipper in her 70s. I'm guessing in her 70s, just lovely as can be, with a lot of joy and a lot of courage radiating from her. And she shared that with me. Here's what she gave me. And I have a couple things to show you. Before we get into stitching, I promise stitching is coming. She handed this to me, this little paper. It's written on the back of an envelope, where you can, envelopes in the back of the seats at church. And she said, "I want you to read the Psalms." And I talked in my last episode about the Psalms because I am stitching on Voice of the Shepherd. And she said, "I want you to read the Psalms." And she said, "I want you to read them in a month." And that's a lot of Psalms. And she gave me this little breakdown in her little handwriting. She wrote this for me during the sermon of she said, "This is how I want you to read the Psalms." And so that's what I've been doing. And that's restoring my hope. It's helping that veil of sadness get pushed back. I read them every day now. And I read them in like a chronological order. She said, read 1 and then read 31 and then read 61. And day 2, read 2 and then 32 and 62 and so on and so forth. And that's what I've been doing. The other thing that she told me to do is she said that when she went to City of Hope, we have the same hospital. I'm going to show you a quilt. She said when she went to her hospital, she had a quilt and she called it a prayer quilt. And she had Bible verses all over it. And it's funny as I say this because there have been times on this channel and in my life, just in general, as a person, as an author, as a talker, right? That it can sometimes be hard to say the things that need to be said or that we feel that we need to say because we don't want to offend anybody. And so there's this little part of me that says, I don't want to offend anybody. I don't want to have people unsubscribe because I'm talking about this. And I'm okay with that now, is what I would say. I'm okay with that because it just bears being said. That's the truth of it. It just bears being said. And so I have my quilt. I did not make this. A woman made this for me, a different woman, and she made it for me during my cancer last year. I was stage 1B, is what they would categorize me. And if I've done my math correctly, if I do have cancer again, I'm not good at math and I'm not a cancer expert, but if I do have it again, I believe that would make it stage 4. And, you think you're done with something, but you might not be. But that's because someone reminded me, if it's not the end, if it's not good, it's not the end yet. And so that's what I'm focusing on. But here's my quilt. Isn't it beautiful? And I'm going to tell you something about this quilt. A woman made this for me last time. And I was so blessed by this beautiful quilt. And she makes them for people. And I don't even know this woman, but she makes them for people. And so this lovely lady at my church that I talked to, I said, well, how did you get the Bible verses on the quilt? I was thinking maybe I would embroider them. I couldn't figure out what she did. She said, I just wrote them on with a Sharpie. And there I had a little moment the other day of this quilt is going to get slightly vandalized with a Sharpie. And I think it needed to get done. So I have many more to add, but on the back, this is the back. The back is sort of more plain because I was trying to decide where do I want to put my Bible verses. The back is kind of plain. The front looks like this. And because the front is so kind of more the pretty side of the quilt, I thought I'll put the verses on the plain side, pretending kind of like it's a piece of paper. So this is my writing side, this side. And I've only done a couple. Here they are. You can see that there's these lines. And so I've just been following the lines. And I've been writing them down. There's one. And another. And another. I think I pretty much just did them in this section. I tried not to misspell anything. Man, when you're writing on a quilt with a Sharpie, you really don't want to get it wrong. But if I accidentally made any misspells, that's all right too. So there, so this is my quilt. This is my prayer quilt, and I'm going to add to it as I work through this process that lady gave me, that she encouraged me with. And this brings me a lot of joy, and this brings me a lot of peace. I don't know that I'll take it tomorrow. I might. But if I have to go to the hospital, if I have to go back for infusions and things like that, I'm already starting to prepare my bag. So if the situation is cancer, then doctor has infusions that he will give me that he's very, very optimistic about. Part of this story is that I have a gene in my body that is related to different cancers. If you've been through cancer, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's called HER2, H-E-R-2, like a girl. And I have it. And my hospital is the size of a city block. It's so big. There's multiple hospitals and multiple buildings, and it's massive. And even despite its size, the doctors I have the highest of this gene that my doctor has ever seen in any patient ever. And they keep telling me that I'm very special. They keep telling me that I'm very rare. And sometimes my husband and I just have a chuckle about it because I'd like to be special, but maybe not in this regard, but it just is what it is. So I'm taking my special genes and rolling with them. And thinking about what I will add to my bag. I think I'll bring some cross stitching if I have to go back for infusions. I know that I'll bring my quilt and, of course, snacks and other things like that. All that to say, my doctor, doctors got to give statistics. So he says there's a 15% chance that it's not cancer. And he stretched it from 10 to 15 when he saw my face. So we're taking that 15% to the bank right now, is what we're doing. And I think optimism is really good medicine. Not like in an artificial way of I'm just going to pretend to be happy and I'm going to act like I'm not sad. Do you know what I mean? If I'm sad, I'll be sad. And I am a little sad. But optimism and joy can penetrate even that sorrow. So that's my life update. And I got some stitching to show you, but I showed you my little verses. I showed you my little quilt. And in those verses, I posted in my newsletter. If you get my newsletter, I showed in my newsletter that I had cleaned off a bookshelf and that I had found my Bible from when I was a teenager. The cover was really bad, so I bought this little cover protector off of Amazon. I love it. And the font on this is quite large. So this is the one that I've been reading, my high school Bible. Isn't that kind of funny? I have others. But I just like seeing my little highlights from little Joanne. And every day this brings me joy. So before we get into the stitching update, I'm going to go on a little bit of a limb. I knew I was going to cry. It's going to be okay, Joanne. This has brought me so much comfort that I can't even describe. It has brought me so much joy and sincere encouragement. Not artificial, not make-believe, not pretend, but true encouragement. And I know this is a Flosstube channel. I know that we're supposed to be talking about cross stitch. I know I keep telling you I'm going to be talking about it because I am. However, I can't talk about my cross stitch until I say that I'm so thankful for this book. And if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. If you read it, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't have one, they're everywhere. You can get one anywhere if you wanted one. You could borrow one from a friend. You could get it at a thrift store, at Walmart, on Amazon, in a bookstore. They have them in hotels, in drawers. Churches will give them away. And this is the biggest blessing in my life. And easily, my most valuable possession. And so I am so thankful to have it. And there go the tears. I'm an easy crier. Everybody who knows me knows that. But I'm just going to tell you a quick little story. I was in church yesterday, and each thing has just built of comfort, has just been building, like building blocks in my heart. Little things here, little things there. Something that someone is, a kindness from somebody, or a prayer verse. It just builds like building blocks, and it's holding me up like I can't even describe. And I was in church yesterday, and there was this dad with this little baby girl on his arm. And she was probably less than one, and she was the cutest thing you ever saw. Her little tiny hair was up in these little tiny pigtails, and he just had her on his arm because she was so little. And they were just a few rows in front of us. And I was looking at that little girl, and I was looking at that dad, and I was thinking to myself, that's how God takes care of us. And I know that when we've been hurt, and I've been hurt before, and I know that a lot of people out there have, I know that we've been hurt, or when we're frustrated, angry, disappointed, confused, any of those emotions, it's very hard to see through that veil of sadness, or that veil of disappointment, of anger, of anything. But even through that veil, to see that dad holding that little girl made me imagine that that's how we get to be held by God. On his hip, on his arm, just that dad just delighted in that little girl. And she just was so safe, and she was at peace. She did not question if he was going to drop her. She did not question if he was going to forget her. It wouldn't have even been possible. And he was like one of the security guys, and so he was kind of a little burly. And sorry, my camera just fell. He was a little bit more rugged. And I thought to myself, if that little girl, if he couldn't get to her, if he couldn't protect her, say she was, locked in a room somewhere, and the door was locked and he couldn't get to her and she needed him, I thought to myself, he would tear down that wall. He would find something that would break that barrier between him and her. If she was crying, if she needed him, he would not rest until she was found. And that's the comfort that I have. So I just wanted to share that with you. And hopefully have less tears through the stitching portion of this video. But who knows, they might come again. So thank you if you sat through my life update. I've never done one that's this long before, or that's this perhaps emotional and transparent before. And if you're stitching, thank you for stitching along with me. If you're just someone who stopped in and you're like, what is this lady talking about? Thank you for listening. And I just want to share all the love and all the joy that I can. And I am so ready for tomorrow. I'm ready for this biopsy. I'm not super excited about it. I'm not excited about it because I will be awake. It will involve a very long needle that goes into my lung, and they have to possibly do it multiple times. So I'm not super excited, I will say that, but I have peace. And I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. Let's do this. And of course, when I get the outcome, I will share it with you all. Now, I'm wondering how to segue into cross stitch from that. How do we segue into cross stitch from that? I'm not really sure. So let's just do it. Let's just segue. I have lots to share with you because I've been stitching a lot. Stitching has really been so therapeutic lately. I think that if you're here for the life update, that's mostly the end of it because I'll talk about cross stitch now. Because in case people see this that aren't cross stitchers, I just wanted to let them know. And if you're a stitcher, I cannot wait to show you what I've got. So let's dive in, and I'll probably get emotional at some point again. Let us start with 1, 2, 3, 4 projects that I worked on. If you're watching this, you're not a cross stitcher, we call those whips, which means work in progress. So I have 4 whips, 4 project bags. Let's go with the one that's on top, which is this one. This is my Lord of the Rings piece. And this is one that I just loved. I just loved working on it. It's here in a pillowcase. And for those of you who know me, I talk sometimes about being a big Lord of the Rings fan because I love the symbolisms as a storyteller. I love the symbolisms in those stories. I love the hope. I love the good versus evil, light versus dark battle that is in that series. I love the movies. I love The Hobbit. I love it all. There's nothing about it that I don't love. And so therefore, I'm stitching a Lord of the Rings piece. And I'm doing this for my husband, who's also a big Lord of the Rings fan. And he, this is going to go in his office someday. He spoke yesterday. He and I had the privilege of feeding the homeless yesterday with some people from our church, which I have never quite done like that before. And my husband shared some of the message. And as I'm saying this, I'm thinking about that moment. And I think that the devil, I think he wants to make us feel like maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we should get into despair. And so sitting there feeding the homeless yesterday, not because we're good people, but because it was a church project that we agreed to go to, proved otherwise. It really made me see otherwise. And he got to share beautiful, beautiful things. And all those people came to me and they prayed for me. And it was one of the most remarkable experiences of my life. People that I don't even know, some people that were homeless, and it was humbling. And so I know I'm rabbit trailing a little bit extra this video. I won't do that in every video. But I feel like sometimes drawing in our real world experiences and those life lessons and things, I think are really precious and really important. And man, they've been coming a lot lately. So in the honor of my husband, I am stitching on the Lord of the Rings. Would you like to see my progress? We're really getting into stitching now. I've loosened it. It's in a scroll frame. I have loosened it so you can see it all. This is where we're at. And the last time I brought this on, I had done this section here, and then I had stopped here, and then none of this was done. So in the last few weeks, I did Gandalf, and I did Frodo, and this is a pattern by the Stitching Coven on Etsy. I'm doing on 14 count pre-gridded Aida with DMC floss, and I am stitching it 2 threads. And then I did the border. This border is so much fun because it is pretty repetitive. I love the colors. I don't know if it really shows up, but all these colors are sort of a mauvey or mauvey, I don't know how to say that, gray. So they're just a hint of purple in these kind of taupey colors. And it's all done like that, which makes it, my mom asked me, she said, is that variegated floss? And I said, no, it's all DMC. So there's about 4 colors, and it just has you rotate as you stitch these borders. And I think the effect is stunning. It's gorgeous. It's long. You've seen it if you watch the Huga Stitcher. She's doing it as well. And so it's very long. There's my back. And you can see all this fabric rolled up. If you can see all those, that's going to be in this because this thing just goes and goes and goes and goes, which is why I'm putting it in the scroll frame. My backs are getting neater, maybe, which is why I'm showing it to you. Pretty proud. They're getting a little tighter. So that is the one that I'm working on. I keep it in a pillowcase, and I'm a real big fan of scroll frames. And oh, I bought these. I'm trying not to crinkle the bag, but I bought these on Amazon. They are tension for a scroll frame. If I remember, I'll try to link them. I'll probably forget. So I'll do it in the next video if I do forget. To try to get better tension on the sides of the scroll frame. So I haven't put them on yet, but I will do that soon. And I'm excited because I definitely want a little bit more tension. I'm loving stitching on this scroll frame because it's helping me get faster at two-handed stitching. And I've also been stitching on some other things that are helping me get faster at two-handed stitching, which is quite fun. Okay, I'm gonna save my full coverage for last, so that way we can look at this one. Oh, I forgot to show you all the pretty threads of the Lord of the Rings. Gotta show all the threads. As I mentioned, DMC. These are all my colors. These are those kind of purpley, taupey, mauvey colors that I was talking about. There's a couple of them in there. And I'm using the bags. It's all together. I have been borrowing from other projects, and so sometimes I have to go and fetch them. And this is just kind of what I've been doing. This is my little cheater. I'm going to show you in case it helps you. I wrote down the colors and what project they're in because I really am trying to keep my stash simple without buying multiple skeins with the same color. So I finally, after going back and forth between project bags trying to fetch colors, I finally just took this piece of paper. I took this piece of paper and I just punched little holes in there. And I added the floss. So even though I have more, for example, in Emerald City or other pieces, I've made my own little silly little floss card. So that's kind of an idea if you need that. And then if I need more, I know what project it is in, so I can go get more. The next project that I'm working on is one that I haven't showed you in a little while. I haven't showed you since my end of year lip parade. It's Americana Red by October House Fiber Arts. Lovely, lovely. And I have been stitching this one in this frame lately. I didn't know I was gonna like this frame. This is a Q-snap. It's 17 inches. I don't know why I bought 17-inch Q-snap. It's huge and it's so kind of unwieldy. So there's a piece of me that kind of regretted buying 17 inches. I think I meant to get 14 inches, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I have this, and I've been stitching it in that, and it's actually working wonderfully because what I have found is that I can kind of rest it. I rest it on my arm or on like the side of a couch, or sometimes I actually just kind of rest it on my knee. Like if I'm stitching on a couch, I'll kind of pop my knee up and I kind of rest it there, and then I'm able to go like this. And I can do two-handed stitching. I might try to use it in a wooden frame. I do have one of the Z frames, but I don't know if it's gonna hold it because it's so wide. So I might see if it doesn't hold it, I have an idea. I was gonna see if my dad could make me like a little anchor of some kind, but that idea is in progress. So that's what I'm using for Americana Red. And I'm stitching it on 25 count fabric in the color Potato. My friends, I love this fabric. It is so much fun. And as of last time, I'll show you what I have done. I've started the barn. There she is. It's so pretty. I actually took it out of the frame just so I could show you the entire thing. And here's the barn, which is the part that I have been working on this week. You can see that variegation really shines through. And the color that I'm using is Classic Colorworks. It's the called for Classic Colorworks in the color Licorice Red. I've got a whole bunch of skeins of it. And you can see it has a subtle little shift in color there. And so I know there's certain different ways that you could do variegated flosses to help that variegation. I know some people just fold it in half and do the loop start. I'm a loop start girl, so it's kind of painful for me not to do the loop start. But I found a workaround, which I'll tell you about. So I do, when I pull out a strand and I pull out another strand, I make sure those ends are lined up as I pull them out, because I don't want to reverse them, because I want that variegation to flow exactly through the two strands. If you stitch, you understand what I just said. If you don't stitch, you're like, why am I here? And that's what's giving me the beautiful striping effect. And I think it shows up really nicely in the barn. So I'm excited to stitch more on this. I am doing two strands, as I mentioned. And again, this is a Lugana in the color Potato, and it's a 25 count. It is so easy to stitch on. So easy, so breezy, and it's just effortless. The thing that I do to fake a loop start, I do it all the time. I hope this doesn't make anybody cringe because it's not proper. But the thing that I do to fake loop start is if I am doing this where I have two strands, or if I have a remnant that I've cut and so I can no longer do the loop start, I tie a tiny little knot at the end. It's not as bad as it sounds. I will take two pieces. Here's my needle. Okay, so this is already in the fabric, so I won't actually tie the knot, but pretend like this was a little remnant and I wanted to use it, and I wanted to use the loop start, because you can kind of see, I think you can see the variegation, how from this finger to this finger, it's getting from light to dark. So what I do is I just take a tiny little knot. I'll cut this off. I just go like this, and I'll pull a tiny little knot, boop, and then I didn't do it very gracefully. There it is. See how you cannot see that knot. I don't think it's going to affect my work at all. I'm trying to kind of show it to you. I don't think you can see that knot. It does, barely makes a difference in the thing. And then now what I have is I have a loop. And so I'll go through the fabric, pull it through my loop, and I've kind of faked the loop start. It's just what I do. I don't know if other people do this, but it really works for me. It makes me happy because I'm a loop start kind of a girl. And then I'll trim that off. I'll probably forget and then start stitching and think, what's happening here? But that is Americana Red. I'm loving this. This one brings me so much joy. Isn't it pretty? I cannot wait to get this up on a wall and finished. And my plan is to keep stitching on this and to finish the barn before I shift gears, really. I do have another one that I've been stitching on that I'm not going to show you because it's my monthly calendar stitch. I showed you last time that I finished January, February. I'm working on March. There's not much done. It doesn't really look like anything right now. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to save March until I can show it to you as a finish, since it's so little. And I really only put probably less than 100 stitches in it. So that is another whip that I have been doing, is the calendar stitch. So Americana red. I have my quilt here. It's keeping me warm right now. I'm just like snug as a bug in a rug. The last project that I'm going to show you is Santa. And I've done a lot of stitching on Santa. This is my full coverage. This is my one and only full coverage, I think, right now. I do need to do some back stitching on my other one, which will be another story for another day. But let's talk about Santa feeding the reindeer. I'm going to show you the picture here. This is Santa feeding the reindeer. It is a project by Artesy, charted by Larry Jones. And I did a whole video, if you see it, if you're new to my channel, I did a whole video about selecting a full coverage piece and why I selected this. And if you want to watch it, this bag is in the thumbnail and I'm smiling. It's this purple bag. You'll find that video. But I did a whole breakdown of why I selected this piece and I love it. Now let's talk about, let me show you where I'm at and let's talk progress. As you know, this has a lot of stitches, 84,500 stitches. I am at 6,000, I can't read back, I have done 6,027 stitches and I am at 7.13%. Is that what that says? Yep, 7.13%. I'm at 7% on a 84,000 stitch piece. That's amazing. I'm really proud of that. And I hadn't picked this up in 2 months because of being on my book deadline and I was just so busy with that. So I'm pleased with that. Now, I will show you where I'm at and I want to show you something about my marked stitches. So I'm going to leave that right there. This is a project bag that I have. I positively love it. I have no idea if I'll remember to link things in the description during this video. So if you want to find it, it's in that video. It will 100% be linked in that video. It keeps all my goodies in it. And this is my project. Let's take a little look at the floss. Real fast, because it's just a little shabby, but that's okay. All DMC floss, and this is kitted up. There's a couple colors that I'm missing. You'll see it when I show you. And this is where I'm at. Oh, I didn't take it out of the Q-snap. Let's just take it out of the Q-snap. We gotta see the full thing. Little pilot right there. In my dreams, I took this out of the Q-snap, but clearly I didn't actually make it happen. But I think we're good on time, so we're gonna do it now. Because some of it is wrapped up and hidden. Apologies for the wrinkles. Obviously, I'm not gonna iron this because it's pre-gridded and I don't wanna set the grid or do anything like that. Here's what I've got. It's in shambles. Okay, that's the iron it's gonna get. This is the size of it. And this is what 7% looks like. I hope you can see a difference from the last time that I showed it. The last time I showed it, I feel like maybe it was about 5%. And I'm still working in that top corner. There's gonna be a reindeer right here and then the twinkle lights come across. Yeah. That upper corner, I believe it's this one. Sometimes I get it wrong, but I think it's this one. I'm right there. So that wreath, I always do it backwards because it's on camera. Okay, I need to remember. It's the one with the rope. I'm on this side. Yeah, because of that little piece of the ceiling or the roof. That's the side that I'm on. That's the corner you're looking at. And there it is. You can see that wreath coming in. It's been so fun to get some greens in there. I think I mentioned that this project has 8 skeins of black. 8 skeins of black. So a lot of what I do is I just stitch 310. And I like that because it gets me my stitch count. A lot of block stitching. And then I spent some time, my husband and I were on a trip. And I spent that time doing a lot of the confetti stitching. There's a lot of confetti in this bad boy. These empty spaces kind of in this department are either, I'm missing about between 3 to 5 colors that I'm missing that I still need to get. And then something that I'm doing that's actually intentional is there's a spot, it's gonna sound silly, but if you're new to full coverage and this inspires you, that's why I wanna share it. there's like these little symbols right here. They're shaped a certain way. Think of them like constellations in the stars. It's this little constellation that I memorized that shape of, and I leave that intentionally unstitched because since I can't see my grid, I can't figure out, you know, once it's covered. I find that and it anchors me in my chart when I look at my chart. And so that really helps me. That really helps me. I'm going to zoom in so you like can't see a lot of the chart, but I'll show you a teensy bit of the chart. That's that spot. Do you see how I've marked them like they're park stitches? They're not park stitches. It's just my way of saying don't stitch those, Joanne, because that's kind of like your little anchor. And so that's kind of been helping me because again, I haven't done a lot of full coverage, and I'm learning techniques, what works, what doesn't, what makes it easier. So again, I'm going to leave that unstitched for a little while until I get more of this filled in. And then as I transition to new locations, I'll create more spaces like that when I see that, I know exactly what page it is. I know exactly where I am in my pattern. Love it. These are the boards of the walls starting to form. And I am so close to doing the white of the twinkle lights. I'm saving it till I get the rest of the stitches on, because I just want to do the white ones last, because if you do the white ones first, they're so hard to see. And I end up just making a mistake anyway. So I'm just leaving the white ones blank. This is 16 count Aida. 16 count pre-gridded Aida. DMC, 2 strands, 2/1. And I am not there of stitching on like a 25 count, 1/1, 2/1. I'm just not there. So full cross, doing the full cross, and I think it's getting gorgeous coverage. I'm really pleased with the coverage, but it's not so small that it's too hard. And I think I've shared with you that my dream when this is done someday in years down the road is to have this framed for Christmas, that I get to pull it out every so often and hang it up as like a tradition. So that inspires me. And again, full coverage is just, I don't know. I've described it in the past as sort of like playing a game. And if you're playing a game on your phone and you're trying to pop bubbles or do Tetris or something like that, it's the same idea to me as that. You're filling in these certain squares. I feel like I'm kind of playing a game. This 10 by 10, there's 100 stitches in there, and I'm figuring out which colors go where. And then as I have the pattern, I'm just going to show you that. I mean, this thing is huge. You would stitch one block if you copied this. As I fill that in, that's kind of my Tetris, or that's my playing my game as I tap, 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 which is what's making the iPad a great option for this. So again, that's Artesy, artwork by Larry Jones, and I do have the PDF, and I am using Markup RXP because I have an Apple device, even though it's more expensive. And I'm looking forward to working more on this. That's all on the stitching front. I don't have any haul or anything like that. If you have made it this far in this video, thank you. If you tapped out at any point, you don't hear me say this, I just wish everybody so well. I'm sending love to anybody and everybody who watched or didn't watch. I'm not bothered. And this has been very, very good for me to get to share from the heart and to go a little extra deep with you today. I won't do that all the time necessarily, but it just felt really important. It just felt really important because I've been given so much goodness and love that I want to share that goodness and love. And let me show you one more thing. I'm going to have to stand up, and because I'm not going to edit, it's going to be, I have to slip past the camera. So let's go. I'm going to grab something that's sitting right there that I want to show you. Stand by. Okay. Hopefully I'm not bumping the camera. I will end with just the joy of cross stitch, just the love of cross stitch. I don't have I don't have another one that I was going to show you, but I showed it to you in my last video. I think it's Flosstube number 12. Oh, not my last video, a different video. I think it's Flosstube number 12 where I shared with you the pillow that my mom had made me. I keep that handy. It's just not sitting with me right now. She stitched me the pillow that says all will be well last time around. And that pillow is the thumbnail. Again, I think it's Flosstube 12. So if you want to see it, that's that one. But one of my students stitched me this, and it says hope. So isn't that just the sweetest little thing? I will probably bring this with me tomorrow. That's my plan. For the love of cross stitch, because there's always hope in anything, even the hard things, there's hope. And thank you to my little student Jocelyn, who sometimes watches my videos. So Jocelyn, if you see this, thank you again for the little pillow. I made a little tag with her name on it and the date because I didn't want to. I'm not gonna write on this with a Sharpie. So that's my hope pillow, and I feel like it is just the right size. What do you think? Doesn't it seem like just the right size to take with me? And so if I'm stressed tomorrow during the procedure, this could be my little cuddle. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I've got my cuddle and I've got my quilt, and I'm going to say goodbye. My name is Joanne, the Story Stitcher, and I'm sending you all the love and joy and thankfulness that I could possibly send to you today. Feel free to drop me a comment. It would mean a lot to me. If I don't get a chance to responding to them all, I will hit a heart. If you get a heart, it means that I read it and that it touched me. So thank you.